It's a little bit past 8 a.m. and for the next 7 days, I'm going to be following Stephen King's writing routine. You know, the one that's basically legendary. Same time, same place, no distractions, or at least minimal distractions, because I mean, I do have 2 dogs here and there's chaos going on in my life right now. But I'll still have that daily hard quota of around 2,000 words a day. Whew. King famously said, "Amateurs sit and wait for inspiration, and the rest of us just get up and go to work." That quote is one of the reasons why I'm trying this out. My energy, my brain, my everything has been so scattered lately that it's just been really hard for me to create the space to write. And I don't like that. I don't like that I've become really rigid about my expectations of the conditions that I need in order to write. I don't like that writing is pretty much the first thing I sacrifice when things get in the way. It's the easiest thing for me to cast aside, and I don't like that. So this week, I'm not waiting anymore. I'm not waiting for the perfect situation, the perfect conditions. I'm gonna test and see what happens when discipline comes first. You know, when you take a very rigid approach like the one that Stephen King has and apply it to your writing. So welcome to the Stephen King experiment. And hi, if you're new here, I'm Celine and this is the Uncharted Studio. I'm a fantasy writer. I'm working on what I hope will be my debut novel. And every month I test out a different creative routine or an experiment just to see if there are ways for me to create better. Earlier this month, I reviewed On Writing by Stephen King. And this book is phenomenal. It's fantastic. It's full of powerful advice, but also it's full of absolutes. Absolutes that are based on Stephen King's opinions and his own approach. And some of these things just don't work for everybody. People don't have the same life that he has or the same infrastructure around his life that will permit him to follow through with the things he says. So this video was the natural next step, taking the theory and applying it to practice and seeing how maybe his routine will work for me, or maybe I'll break under pressure. I don't know. We're gonna have to see in 7 days. Also last week, I made this whole video about creative flexibility and all about how you should adapt to the weather that your life and circumstances are surrounding you with. And now I'm trying out a super rigid, hard, rules-based routine. Why? I don't know. Basically, I want to know, does rigid discipline actually create the focus that I need right now? Because clearly I'm not writing. I need something. So yeah, there's only one way to find out. And especially if you're gonna disagree with someone like I do with some of the points in this book by Stephen King, I feel you should probably try their mindset first and try understand fully where they're coming from. So if for some reason you haven't heard of Stephen King by now, Stephen King is one of the most prolific authors of our time. He's published so many books, I don't even know how many. I probably should have researched that. I'll add a number somewhere here for you. And a huge part of that isn't magic, it's his process. The process that he very clearly details in On Writing. He says, "My own schedule is pretty simple. I try to get up every morning and write for a certain length of time. I sit down with my notebook or my legal pad and I try to write 10 pages a day. So that's roughly 2,000 words. What I find fascinating is that King doesn't romanticize his routine. He makes it really simple and treats it like a job, a habit, a muscle, you know, just something he has to do every single day. He also talks about his routine not as a productivity hack, but as something deeper. He says, "The objective of a writing routine isn't to make you a genius, it's to get you in the habit of dreaming." So the question I'm asking this week is quite simple. If I borrow this structure, do I get the focus that he has? Do I get the momentum? Do I get the recentering that I'm craving right now when my life is just a little bit all over the place? Let's see. Maybe I'll just end up being super tired and annoyed. So here are the rules I'm gonna be following. For the next 7 days, I'm gonna be writing every single day, including the weekends. So 7 days of writing straight. I will start at around 8 a.m., between 8 and 8:30 every day. Same place, same setup, same cup of water, which I've got right here. Even the same vitamins, because he takes vitamins every morning. I'll start each day off by reading a little bit of what I wrote the day before, so I can just get into the flow and into the voice of the story. Every day, I'm gonna write until I hit 2,000 words. Now, no stopping early is allowed. If that takes an hour, amazing. If that takes 10 hours, so be it. We'll see. He suggests in On Writing that when you're starting out this routine, maybe write 1,000 words a day instead of 2,000, but he also talks about how he writes 2,000 words a day. Now, this book was published 20 years ago, and his routine has slowed down a little bit since then. So I think roughly right now he writes 1,000 words a day, but I'm gonna follow what he set out in On Writing. Next rule is no editing while drafting, none. I only am allowed to move forward. And then the last rule, which I'm hoping will work out, but I think won't be so good, is no distractions. He writes in his office with the door closed, so I'm gonna try to keep the door closed. I'm gonna write in a serene atmosphere. I've got my candles lit. I'm gonna have some music going. He actually talked about how he writes with loud rock music, because then it just drowns out the whole world. I think I'm just gonna stick with my cinematic and video game music instead, but I'm gonna try work in as much of a no distractions way as possible. Also, there are some rules outside of his writing time that I'm gonna be following for the next 7 days as well. Daily reading is a must. In On Writing, he talks about how he reads for 4 to 6 hours every single day. Now, I'll see how much I get done. I will read every day. I don't think I'm gonna be reading for 4 to 6 hours every day. I don't think that's possible with my life right now. He also goes for a long walk every day. He talks about, 3.5 miles, preferably doing that before he sits down to write. I did my short-ish walk, about 2 miles this morning with the dog, and maybe I'll go on another walk this afternoon. So yeah, these are the hard rules of the experiment. I'll be tracking my word count. I'll be tracking how long it takes me to hit 2,000 words. I'm gonna be tracking how each day feels and how I feel overall by the end of the experiment. All right, that's it. No more preamble. Let's get started with day 1. Whew, I'm a bit nervous. All right, so day 1 is done. I got 2,051 words. So I found it actually quite hard to stop at 2,000 because this is a moment that has a lot of tension, a lot of high stakes. So I really enjoyed weaving in little subtle things that were increasing the tension throughout the scene. And I really enjoyed it. I was just thrilled to be writing today. When I started, I felt like I was in really cloudy, stormy weather internally, but as the day progressed, it felt like the skies cleared up and I got back into flow with drafting. It took me 2 hours and 15 minutes to get through the 2,051 words, which is kind of funny that we have the same numbers there, but anyway. But my biggest struggle today was interruptions. I know that Stephen King says draft with the door closed, and I tried to. I shut the door and started drafting, but my door kept opening. My door just kept, not being a solid boundary. So I kept having all these interruptions, phone calls, work, things. It was a bit of a struggle, but I feel like because I was in such a good moment in the story, I was able to sort of hop out and hop back into it. So I'm really, really looking forward to tomorrow and seeing how this goes. And I'm gonna just be mulling over the rest of the story, like the rest of the scene at least. Tonight, I'm really excited. I'm actually really happy I'm doing this. All right, that's it for today. I'll try to track how much reading I do. I don't think there's gonna be all that much, but we will see. And I'll see you in the morning. Day 2 is done, and I didn't want to stop. Like, I got frustrated when I noticed that I had passed my 2,000 words. I wrote 2,140 today, and I'm really deep in the scene, just feeling all the tension build up. So I'm really excited. Today I had a really crummy time with interruptions. So now that I actually was able to sink into the flow of things, time ran out, and I was not thrilled. I was not thrilled about that. I would have normally just kept going and going and going until the end of the scene, but that's not Stephen King's way. And I'm hoping that this excitement I feel for the scene is going to carry over to tomorrow. I'm going to keep imagining it, and yeah, until I can get it all down. But today's weather started off as cloudy inside. I was very tired and quite frustrated about all the interruptions, but then it cleared up while writing again, which I wonder if this will be a pattern for the week. But all right, what else? What else is important? I started at 8:30 this morning. It is now 11:15, 2 hours, 45 minutes, but I had so many interruptions, like so many. I think I probably wrote for about an hour and a half, but yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Just, it was a day of interruptions, and it was a day where I don't know, at first I just couldn't sink into the story. And now that I've sank into it, I have to stop. And I don't know if I like that. I think maybe, well, we'll see. We'll see at the end of the week. I'll reserve judgment. And as far as reading goes, yesterday I read for about an hour. I finished Calabasas by R.F. Kuang. I'm not sure yet. I'm still thinking about it. I kind of feel like she lost me after a certain big, hi baby, that she lost me after a certain big event happened, which is a major spoiler, so I can't share it. And then from that point until the end, I felt like everything was quite predictable. But I'm still mulling it over. And then I started The Blind Assassin by Margaret Atwood, which so far is great. I mean, I read like 10 pages or something, but it's, I feel like it's gonna be very interesting in terms of narrative form. And so far, Blind Assassin has these interjections of newspaper articles and just different layers to the narrative that reframe how you think of the chapters you read before. At least that's what it seems like so far, which is something that I'm working on with the novel I'm working on. It's a similar narrative structure, so I find that reading this now is probably going to be very helpful and inspiring for my own writing. Okay, that's it for today. Time to get work done other than writing. And I'll see you tomorrow for day 3 of Writing Like Stephen King. All right, today was brilliant. I loved it. It felt like a clear skies kind of day, but not just clear skies, like full sun shining. I loved it. I sank straight into the story whenever I had a lot of interruptions. That was my struggle today. Again, I really had a hard time keeping that darn door closed just because life. And I wrote for 2 hours. I felt like maybe an hour of that was lost to interruptions at least. And then I wrote 2,112 words, so 2112, which I like as a number. It felt brilliant. I'm really in the scene. I'm writing one of the main moral, basically 2 of the characters have a moral debate that is the theme for the rest of the book, but you don't really realize it while reading this part. It's just a little debate that they have, and it just feels like the kind of debate these 2 characters always have. And at the same time, you've got the inciting incident having happened in progress, let's put it that way. And it's just this super, there were moments where I was basically almost crying because, I mean, it's the last time we're gonna see one of the characters. There's just so much going on in the scene, and I think because of how excited I am to write this scene, I couldn't stop. I just didn't want to stop writing. So seeing that I passed the 2,000 word mark, I was like, oh, let me just get to the end of the sentence. Let me get to the end of the sentence. And I'm like, I'm supposed to stop. And that was just, blah. But fine. I stopped for today. Reading was going okay. I'm really enjoying The Blind Assassin. So yesterday I read maybe for 2 hours, maybe 2.5. So definitely still falling short of Stephen King's 4 to 6 hours, but I'm really enjoying that story. Its structure is, hi buddy, you wanna come up and say hello? You wanna come, oh, you're so wet. Mwah. Yeah, smooching dog. Okay, come here, let's get you to say hello. I don't know if you're even in the frame here. There you are. This is my buffer. This is one of the reasons why I keep getting distracted. But he was great. He was great today. He was, what's the word? Sleeping. I'm already out of words. Okay, anyway, that's it. Today I'm going to try read some more. I'm finding Stephen King's routine a lot easier than I was expecting. I thought this whole 2,000 words a day, sitting there writing until you're done writing, would be hard, but I'm really enjoying the fact that the first thing I do every day is just sit and write and get to 2,000 words, and then I can do anything else I need or want to do. I'm finding that really, really easy, much easier than Ursula K. Le Guin's routine, or Sanderson's. Sanderson's was just impossible. But this feels pretty smooth, feels pretty good. So yeah, I'm gonna go, get on with the rest of the day, get on with my work, get on with everything I have to do, and then we'll see how that goes. See you tomorrow. All right, so I'm done with day 4, and I'm still pretty emotional because it was a very, very, very powerful scene. Probably one of my, this is probably the first major scene that I've really been looking forward to writing since the outline, and it's just intense. It's a lot, but it felt great. Writing today felt great, really intense. And I finished the chapter, I finished the scene where it's gonna end. I wrote 2,086 words. I started writing an hour and a half ago, and I had about a 15-minute interruption. So today's struggles, I didn't struggle much, to be honest. It just really flowed. I had been picturing this scene since yesterday, and I knew exactly what I wanted to write. And I don't know, I'm really liking this routine so much more than I was expecting. In terms of music, because that's something I wanted to test out, I've been writing with music that fits the theme. So music like today was just some playlist on YouTube called Medieval Music for Reading and Rest, Fireside in the Shire. And it was perfect because it had this calm bass, which is where the scene starts. And it was just perfect ambience to keep me feeling serene and everything. Yesterday I could have written more. I could have probably gone to the end of the scene, but I think it was a good thing that I stopped, because then today I had all the ideas ready to go. And then tomorrow I know exactly where I'm going to pick up from. And it's just gonna be getting darker and darker from here on out. So I'm really excited to keep writing. And I'll see you tomorrow. All right, day 5 is done. I've got a cold and I feel like crap. But writing-wise, it was pretty good. Oh my gosh, can't even believe this is my voice. Anyway, I wrote 2,305 words today, and it's the scene right after a big meltdown for our main character. So it's that lull, like, what's it called? It's the scene sequel. So we had the scene, now we're getting the sequel. And it's really emotional, but I'm loving it. I'm really liking this experiment so far. I started writing today at 9 and I stopped at 10:38. And I had about 15-20 minutes of interruptions. So to get 2,305 words done in, let's say, an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, is great. I think that me writing every day is really helping because I'm staying in the world and I'm just keeping it going. And the fact that I know that the first thing I have to do in the morning is write just really clears up my mind. I kind of feel silly having these really, really obvious realizations in an experiment, but these are the things that I'm taking away. Other than being sick, mentally I felt like, clear weather, clear skies, really ready to sit down and write. I was eager to. And yesterday I had come up with a different sequel to the one I had originally planned in my outline. Although, to be fair, my outline was quite vague. So I'm writing through that and I'm really excited, and then I'll get back to it tomorrow. I'm quite frustrated that I have to stop, actually, but I think this frustration maybe is what's helping me come back the next day fully ready to take it on. And then reading-wise, I must have read, 200 pages yesterday maybe, of my book, so not too bad, but definitely not 4 to 6 hours. But I'm still reading, and that's good. And that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow for more. So this is day 6 of the experiment. I am sick, and today I just felt so rough, like so crap. But I got 2,280 words done. Now, not all of these were fully original words. So I had written parts of the scene before, but I had to rewrite it. So I had my original draft on one side of my screen and my new draft on the other. I didn't even remember to take any footage while writing today. Anyway, that's fine. It's the sequel to the previous super strong scene, but it also goes much deeper into some of the characters and their bond and their history. So worked. It took me about an hour today. I'm so tired. Not because of the experiment. The experiment, I feel, is fantastic, and I feel like this amount of time, of output and everything really is working for me. It's just this cold is just killing me. One day left of this experiment, and this has felt great, like so good. That's it for now. I'll see you tomorrow. Another day done, and that's the end of the experiment. And I'm still sick, so I'm gonna do our recap tomorrow. But today was okay. It felt stormy
internally, I would have not written today had I not been doing this experiment. But I'm also kind of glad that I have this experiment to keep me going and keep me focused. I wrote 2,075 words today in about an hour and 15 minutes. I was attempting to be at my desk for almost 2 hours, but I kept getting interrupted and I kept having to get up and handle something. Yeah, so that's it. That's the end of the writing part of the experiment. I'll do a full recap tomorrow or the next day whenever I'm feeling better. Now, I kind of wish I was able to write with the door closed more, but this was pretty good.
Let's talk about this week, because it was quite interesting, actually. Firstly, I felt like the story was warm, like it was there waiting for me, and I think that's just because of the daily writing. I think I've started to understand why King is so strict about his daily writing. It just felt like it was all about continuity, like the story was there waiting for me, and like my brain was mulling it over when I wasn't writing, so that the next scene was just there when I had to sit down to write it. I just felt like I didn't have to fight my way into the story. The second really interesting part of my week was the question of if I was gonna write. Because that question wasn't even on the table. It wasn't even a when will I write or where will I write. The question was how long will I write for? And it just felt really liberating. It felt like, you know, those people who wear the same outfit every day, like Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg, it felt like this was eliminating decision fatigue. I didn't have to think of where, when, or whatever. I just had to get up, sit at my computer, write. And that felt really good. So in terms of numbers, let's talk about numbers. Let me find it. Here we go. In terms of numbers, you'll see them on the screen. But in total, I wrote 15,049 words. Now, that's less than I wrote during my Ursula K. Le Guin experiment, but it felt so much better. Like, it felt so much more sustainable. I'm not dead. This feels a lot closer to my natural writing rhythms, and I was not expecting that. I thought that Stephen King would be just absurd. I wrote for a total of 12 and a half hours, but there were interruptions. Unfortunately, I was not able to just keep the door closed. Life happens, and things just kept cutting into my writing time. I don't think there was a single day where I didn't have at least 3 interruptions. So I don't know what my actual hands-on keyboard typing time was this week. But okay, 12 and a half hours for 15,000 words, not bad. Not bad at all. So that brings me to think about the weather for each day. So most days started out cloudy. And they wouldn't have been days that I would have thought would be good for drafting. But through writing, they became sunnier. And we're talking about our internal weather. If you have no idea what I'm on about, I'm gonna leave a video linked here. It was last week's video. And then I had some days which were full on stormy because of this sickness, flu, whatever you want to call it, that has been tormenting me a little bit. Getting sick isn't great. I don't like it, but I'm surviving through it. So here's what worked. Writing every day kept the story alive. Having a daily quota just killed my perfectionism. I didn't have the ability to sit there until words were perfect. I just had to get through them and get the story out. And I think that kind of worked. In the 2 days since I finished the experiment, I haven't written. And that's because I was like, oh, but I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. Oh, what am I gonna do first? And I think that's a bit of a shame. But then what didn't work for me is that this routine requires flexibility, and it requires some sort of privilege that not everybody has. So what am I keeping? Having writing be the first thing on my to-do list, at least for writing days, is definitely something I'm gonna keep doing moving forward, because that really worked. It seriously helped. I stopped sort of wondering when and if I would write and just focused on getting words out. And I'm also gonna keep the writing forward approach. So just rereading a couple of paragraphs and just moving forward from there. Focusing on the fact that this is like a first draft or a 0 draft or a messy first draft, rough draft, whatever you wanna call it. And that it can be made better later.
but you can't improve on something that doesn't exist. So I just keep focusing on that. I'd like to keep some kind of goal, like a daily word count goal or a daily time goal. I'm not sure which approach I want to keep yet. I think maybe I need a few more experiments to figure this out, but it felt like without the 2,000 word goal, I would have stopped much earlier, and having that limit there was like, oh, okay, I would have naturally paused here. Let me keep going. And then I'd have like a second wind every time that I do that. So I'd get more output through that. So maybe it would be a word count goal, but I also really liked the freedom of a time-based system. Yeah, I haven't quite decided on this yet. So would I recommend trying out writing like Stephen King? Yeah, I would. I would definitely recommend writing like Stephen King as an experiment. You know, follow what he says in On Writing. Do it as a reset, as a restart, as a way to get yourself out of a writing rut. You don't have to follow it forever, but I would highly recommend just trying this out and seeing what parts of it worked for you and what didn't. And just remember that you don't need to wait to feel ready in order to write, that you can just sit down and write and let the words come. You don't need to copy everything. You don't need to copy every single rule that he has in On Writing. I struggled with getting the reading done. I was reading every day, but I was not reading for 4 to 6 hours. I was reading for, I don't know, 1, 2 maybe on good days. Now, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe, stick around. I do these experiments once a month, and I also create other videos like reviews of craft books or craft-related learning sources, whatever you want to call them. I share an in-depth look at things that I'm either struggling with as a writer or as a creative, or something that I feel other people in the community are struggling with and how to work through that. And I share updates on my own writing progress. So if you liked it, stick around. And let's see, I'm gonna leave the Ursula K. Le Guin experiment linked here for you. And next week, we are going to be diving into how February was as a writing month and how that felt. Because it's been interesting. I felt like January was a bit of a rut, but February so far has been flowing. And I'm very happy about that. All right, thanks for watching. I'm gonna leave you with some parting words from the end of On Writing. Some of this book, perhaps too much, has been about how I learned to do it. Much of it has been about how you can do it better. The rest of it, and perhaps the best of it, is a permission slip. You can, you should, and if you're brave enough to start, you will. Writing is magic, as much the water of life as any other creative art. The water is free, so drink, and be filled up.